friends, you are lucky today because this is my storytime video. Yeah, the title says I worked for a molester. So when I first moved to Perth, I was living in like a backpacker, and then I moved out into a place with 4 other friends, and I think it was still my first like couple months here. Maybe it was like my 2nd month in Perth, and I was looking for jobs, so I went on Gumtree, I went on, you know, job searching and all that shit, and I saw one that was for fundraising. And at the time I was doing YouTube, and I know that I'm a very outgoing person. I can talk to anyone on the street. I can literally go up to a person and be like, oh hey, like, do you want to talk? Like, that's the kind of person I am. I was like, this is gonna be a perfect job for a person like moi. So I got a call from this company, which was a fundraising company. I'm obviously not going to name the company, and I'm not going to be naming any of these people who are involved with this, but I will give them code names. Anyways, so I get a call and they're like, oh hey, come in for a job interview on Thursday. Thursday morning rolls around. I get there and I realize I'm the first person there, so I'm like, good. I like being early. And as I'm waiting, like about 20 people within the half an hour come up, and I'm like, holy shit, this is gonna be a big like interview group, because I knew it was gonna be like a group interview. I want to say that the place that I went for the interview was at this big building, one of the tallest buildings in Perth. But not the tallest, okay? Not the tallest. Don't like go searching. Yeah, so it was really fancy. Like when you entered into the building, you were greeted by like 2 security. It was super, super business-like and fancy. I gotta make the most of this because they are working here. They must be a great company. Great company. So I'm just talking with people. We were waiting for a pretty long time. This guy comes out, and I'll call him Leonard, which is like nothing like his actual name. So Leonard brings the group of 20 of us into his big conference room, and there's just, you know, 20 chairs, and I think we even had to like pull chairs from another room because there was so many of us. And so I'm sitting like right next to him because I'm like, okay, I'm the first person here, that means I have to get the seat next to him. So I sit right next to him. Yeah, so he interviews us, he asks us questions, he's like, oh, let's go around the table. Why do you want to do fundraising? To kind of like pitch yourself and sell yourself. He had an American accent, and he said that he was from California, and he worked doing fundraising and managing and being the boss of fundraising or whatever in California. At one point at the interview, I asked him a question, and he like winked at me after he answered, and I thought it was just like a friendly wink, but I remember feeling like kind of like, oh, I hope that's like a friendly wink. He then tells us all that you're gonna get a call at about 3 or 5 o'clock today, and if you don't get a call, then you're not gonna be hired. I'm like waiting on my phone. I'm like, I hope I get hired. I was like one of the few people who were just really engaging and like talking, so I was like, I know that I have this job. It's like in the fucking bag. So he calls me and he's like, oh, congratulations, like when can you start work and all that stuff. So I was like, yeah, I can start work soon as possible. And then he was like, oh, by the way, like where are you from? You kind of sound like you have an accent. You don't sound Australian. Like, where are you from? I gave him my whole story, and he was like, okay, cool, well, I'll check in on you next week. So I was like, cool. My first day, I made my first sign up. So what you do in fundraising is that you pretty much go out on the streets or knock door to door, and you ask people to like donate in a plan, like a monthly donation. I was so lucky that my first day of work, I managed to get a sign up from a lovely lady. So I was in Northbridge, and this lady walks by, and I'm like throwing my pitch at her, and she's just like, wow, your energy is great, like you're amazing, like all this stuff. And she's like, I would love to be your first sign up. And I was like, wow, that's so sweet. She told me that she actually worked in a fundraising company in California because she was from California, and she kept telling me like, I want you on my team, like I want you to leave whatever team you're on right now, I want you to come to my team, because my shift manager was there. And I'm gonna call my shift manager Corinne. So because Corinne was watching me do the sign up, because it was my first time filling in the forms and everything, to the lady, I was like, oh, you know, like this is my first day here, like I want to have the feel for this company before I make any decisions. And so she just gives me her number, and I'm like, okay, like I don't even like consider that I'm going to like work for her or anything, because it was my first day doing fundraising. But I was super, super flattered that it was my first day of fundraising, and she wanted me to be on her team so bad. She wanted to be my first sign up, and she told me that you will never forget your first sign up when you do fundraising, and she didn't want me to forget that she was my first sign up. So she was such a big-hearted lady, and she was so chill, and she had like this like motherly instinct. So while she's signing up, she's talking to my shift manager Corinne, and she's like, oh, so like who do you work for, like what other charities have you done? So, and I'm not even gonna say what charity she signed up for, I don't want to get in trouble. Then the lady asks, who is your boss? And Corinne says, Leonard. The woman says, Leonard, and then his last name. I'm like, what? Like, does this girl know my boss? And then Corinne says, yes, Leonard, and his last name. And then the lady goes like this. What? Leonard? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? Leonard. And she's literally like, there's like a ledge behind her, and she's like putting her head to the ledge. She's like, Leonard last name. Leonard last name. Are you... And she just keeps like putting her body back onto the ledge because she's in so much disbelief. She's like, Leonard last name. She's just having this reaction, and she's going through that reaction for a legit minute. And Corinne and I, my shift manager, are looking at each other like, what's going on? Like, I'm so confused, like what's wrong with Leonard last name? Then the lady is like, so you know how I'm from California? I worked for him in California for the same fundraising company. And I was like, shit, that makes sense because she's from California and he's from California. Then she told me, I can't believe he is here. He got fired or let out early because he was accused for molesting the younger fundraisers. And then I was like, what? And Corinne starts talking at this point. She clearly feels really upset, and she clearly feels like super betrayed. Then is asking like, more details and stuff, and she was like, what do you mean he's not supposed to be here? And this woman basically all in all tells the both of us, she's like, yeah, Leonard had molested the younger girls in that company because he did so much good work that the higher people, so all his bosses were like, you know what, we're just gonna let you off early, but that apparently some girls had actually pressed charges and that he kind of ran away to Australia or something like that. And the lady was pretty much telling me, she was like, I did not even know what happened afterwards. I left the company after all this stuff. I wanted to stand by the women. I wanted to stand by the girls because I was also in that position. And she didn't say that she was like raped, but she said that he would like manipulate her. And I just flashed back to when he winked at me, and I was like, this motherfucker, I'm not working for a fucking molester. I'm not working for a molester. This is disgusting. This is sick. And like, I wanted to throw up. Like, I wanted to throw up because I was like, this is my first day. This is my first day of work. This is my first charity sign up. Like, this is the first woman who was signed up to pay for help, whatever cause I was doing. I'm not gonna name the charity. Everyone was telling me I was doing good. And now I don't even want to work for this cunt. Like, Leonard, last name, you're a shithead. So mad. I was like, there's no snowflake chance in hell that I'm going to be working for this guy for any longer. I wanted to quit then and there. If I make a sign up, then he gets a bonus. Why would she want to do that? And she told me, she was just like, well, he's gonna see my name, and he's gonna see that the first sign up you made was under my name, and he's gonna see my name. And then Corinne, my shift manager, takes me aside, puts me on a break, and she's just like, okay, we're just having a smoke or something at this point. And she's telling me, she's like, okay, like, I know you must have heard some weird shit, like, this is the first time I've heard it too, like, trust me, this is the first time I've ever heard that. And then she says to me, she's like, I hope you know that on the other side of this, she is in a competing company, a competing fundraiser company. So then Corinne was trying to explain to me, like, she could be just trying to exaggerate because she wants you to be on her team and not on Leonard's team. I was trying to think rationally, but like at this point, I felt so disgusted. I feel so gross. Like, I didn't feel molested or anything. Obviously, I didn't get molested, but like I felt so gross that every time I make a charity sign up, he was gonna get a bonus off that. And so I'm talking to Corinne, and the whole week, I worked in that company for like 2 weeks, but for the first week, every single time I worked with her, I was telling her, like, I feel like I want to quit because I don't want to support him. And each time she's like, I know what that means, like, I know that can eat you alive. And she was so understanding, and she was kind of like, I get it, like, I understand, like, you have a good heart and you don't want to even work for this guy, even though the possibility that this is true could be very small and very minuscule, you still don't want to support him. So I was going through like a lot of like, every day I went to work was like, do I want to do this? Is this guy actually a molester? The only reason why I believe that he is and that this is true is because the woman asked, what is your boss's name? And before we could even answer his last name, we just said like Leonard, and his like first name is very like common and like usual. It's like a John or something. Like his actual first name is like, it's kind of like a regular name. And so when Corinne said Leonard and didn't say his last name, and she said his last name, and his last name is like super complicated and long, and she said his last name, I was like, so she fucking knows this dude. Like, she knows this dude. She knows this dude more than I do. Coming to the day I quit, my last day of work, he came up to me, and I was working on the same bridge. He came up to me, and after I finished my shift, he said to me, do you want to go get a drink or something? You know, do you want to go get a drink or something? You know, do you want to get a drink or something? Only said that to me, and he was getting really nervous to ask me. Like, he wasn't like, oh, all of us fundraisers are gonna go have a drink, do you want to come along? He was like, after your shift, do you want to get a drink or something? Like, do you want to, you know, just get a drink or something? Like, at the bar, like, Brass Monkey, you want to get a drink? And the next day, I quit because I realized that I could not deal with my guilty conscience, and even though there could be a chance that he's not a molester, due to the woman's reaction, like, the woman's reaction was so genuine and real. Like, she was literally like, Leonard last name. Like, she was literally like that. Like, I could not forget her reaction. No, this is not cool. I was not cool with him asking me, do you want to get a drink or something? I was not ready for that manipulation. And I started to realize all the girls who had their fucking tits up here and they were like so tall and their legs were always showing and they were always in short shorts, those girls always got so much special treatment. Like, all the girls who showed off their bodies got so much special treatment, and the fact that he was gonna come up to me and be like, do you want to go get a drink? Fuck you, asshole. Like, fucking rot in hell, you piece of shit. Anyways, you guys can see that I really do believe that what that woman said was true, just from her reaction, the fact that she even knew his name, and that she was from California, and he was from California, and you don't meet that many people in Perth who's from California. And I did find out later that he wasn't working there anymore, and I didn't find the reasons why, but one of the girls who worked for him, one of the girls who got special treatment, I actually bumped into her in a shopping mall and we talked for a little bit. She didn't want to tell me too much, but she pretty much told me, she was like, he was scum. Like, she literally said he was scum. I was on a lunch break from a different job, so I couldn't talk for long and I couldn't get anything out of her, but it was just kind of like, nah, he was shady, he was scum, he was sus as fuck. I'm really happy that I quit, but to be honest, I'm really upset that I waited so long to quit. Even after my first week and we had like a group meeting and everything, I couldn't even look him in the face. Like, I couldn't look him in the face without like wanting to fucking barf all over myself. I really don't know the moral of this video. Do you think Corinne was right and maybe the woman was just saying that because she wanted me to be on her team, and she was in a competing company. Like, they were competing. It's kind of like if you go to Hungry Jack's and you tell all the workers there to come work for McDonald's or something because the Hungry Jack's manager is a fucking molester. It's kind of like that. I don't know how to see it. Or do you think that because of her reaction and because she was from California and she worked with him and she knew his name, do you think that she was correct and that this guy could possibly be some fucking scum ass shit? And even what the girl said to me after we finished work, like, this was months after I finished working with them, and she told me that Lenny last name was scum and sus and fishy. I honestly seriously believe that this guy was a molester, and I'm so ashamed to say that I worked for this guy for 2 weeks and I made however many sign-ups I made for him to get a bonus. You know, it makes me kind of sick. I was doing so well and everybody loved me there and I was getting so many sign-ups and I didn't need that special treatment from him to do well, and that's why I kind of wanted to stay. That's why I ride it out for like 2 weeks. I hope you guys like the story time. Also, if you are subscribed and you haven't clicked the bell button, click the bell button, because then you can get notifications of when I post, because sometimes you guys are like, what? I didn't see this on my newsfeed. Like, I'm so annoyed. And I'm like, I don't know what to do about it, but to just tell you to click the bell button, and then you'll be notified when I post. If anyone knows who I'm talking about, please feel free to message me, whether it's someone who I worked with. Like, if you see this video and you want to message me on Facebook, please message me on Facebook. I love you guys so much. Bye! Oh, fuck. Oh, shit, what the fuck? Okay.